A man is dying on a desert road. Help is already on the way. An ambulance is coming. Then a helicopter. But the helicopter can't take off, not because of a mechanical fault, not because of distance, because the air itself is too hot to fly through. This isn't a hypothetical. It happened in 2024, in the hottest place in North America, and it reveals something most visitors never think about. In Death Valley, the emergency system that protects you everywhere else in America simply stops working. Death Valley National Park spans over 5,000 square miles. Bigger than the state of Delaware. Inside that space, there are only 3 places to buy gas, and long stretches with no cell signal at all. Most people know it's hot. Fewer people understand that heat alone isn't what kills. It's the collapse of every backup system you'd normally rely on. Over the next few minutes, we'll look at how rescue itself breaks down here, through documented cases, and what that reveals about a landscape that was never built for modern safety nets. The valley's danger comes from its shape. It's a long, narrow basin, flanked by 2 mountain ranges. The Panamints to the west, the Amargosa Range to the east. Hot air rises off the valley floor, hits the mountain walls, and sinks back down instead of escaping. The heat recycles rather than dissipates. That's part of why, on July 10, 1913, Furnace Creek recorded 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Still recognized by the World Meteorological Organization as the highest air temperature ever measured on Earth, though some modern climatologists have questioned the reading's accuracy. The valley earned its name in 1849, when a group of gold rush pioneers took a supposed shortcut and became trapped for weeks among the salt flats. At least one person died before survivors escaped on foot. The name stuck because the place delivered on it. And 175 years later, it still does. Modern visitors assume that if something goes wrong, help will come. Death Valley quietly breaks that assumption, again and again. In August 2009, a Las Vegas nurse drove into the park with her 11-year-old son, relying on a GPS unit instead of a paper map. The device routed them onto an unmarked track in the southwestern corner of the park. Their vehicle became stuck in soft sand. Temperatures that week reached 119 degrees. She had told different family members different, conflicting plans for the trip. So when they didn't return, no one knew where to look. Search efforts didn't begin for days. Her son died before rescuers found them. In April 2021, a couple had done almost everything right. An Afghanistan veteran and his girlfriend. They'd filed a backcountry itinerary with the park. They carried topographic maps and survival gear. Then 2 tires blew out simultaneously on a remote dirt road. They left a note on the dashboard and tried to hike out through a canyon. He fell and died from his injuries. She broke her ankle in the same fall and spent 6 days stranded on a ledge, unable to move, using a small solar panel to keep her phone charged enough to record messages to her family. She survived only because they'd told park staff their plans in advance. That gave rescuers a place to start looking. If stories like this, about the places where survival comes down to a single decision, are the kind of thing you want more of, this channel covers them every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Then, in July 2024, 6 motorcyclists riding near Badwater Basin as air temperatures hit 128 degrees. One collapsed and could not be revived. Another lost consciousness and had to be carried by a passing stranger. Not an ambulance, a passing stranger. Nearly 20 miles to the nearest outpost. From there, a ground ambulance drove him over an hour to a hospital. Only then could a helicopter take him to Las Vegas. That chain of transport, stranger, ambulance, hospital, helicopter, that's the real story of Death Valley. It's not that help doesn't exist, it's that the normal chain of emergency response has extra broken links here that don't exist almost anywhere else in the country. Medical helicopters generally cannot operate safely in air temperatures above roughly 120 degrees. Extreme heat reduces air density, which reduces the lift a rotor can generate. Meaning on the valley's hottest days, on the days people are most likely to need rescue, the aircraft built to save them physically cannot fly there. Cell service disappears 30 to 50 miles before you even reach the park boundary. And even inside it, coverage is limited to a thin patch near Furnace Creek. Between 2007 and 2023, roughly 68 people died within the park. About a quarter in vehicle accidents, and close to a fifth from heat-related causes alone. Men died at more than 3 times the rate of women. July was consistently the deadliest month, and the park's own chief ranger, after the death of the 11-year-old boy in 2009, offered the plainest possible summary. A GPS does not replace a map, a compass, and telling someone where you're actually going. Here's the detail that stays with you. In every one of these cases, the actual emergency wasn't the heat itself. It was the moment the normal safety net disappeared. No signal to call for help. No helicopter able to fly. No one who knew where to start looking. The heat was only ever the second problem. The first was believing that someone, somewhere, was already coming. That's what makes Death Valley different from most dangerous places in America. It's not that it's remote in distance. You can drive there from Las Vegas in under 3 hours. It's that the moment something goes wrong, you are, for all practical purposes, exactly as alone as the pioneers who named it in 1849. The roads are paved now, the rescue systems exist on paper, but on the hottest days, in the most remote corners, none of it can actually reach you in time. The valley hasn't changed. Only the illusion that we're safer than we used to be has.
There's one more pattern worth noticing. It isn't just remote hikers or backcountry campers who get caught out here. It's people on the shortest, easiest trails in the park. In August 2024, a 57-year-old man from Los Angeles County walked a marked, 1-mile loop trail at Natural Bridge. It's one of the most accessible hikes in Death Valley. Paved parking lot, clear signage, round trip in under an hour. He finished the hike and made it back to his car, but witnesses said his behavior didn't make sense. He seemed disoriented, confused. He got behind the wheel anyway and drove off an embankment near the parking area. Bystanders pulled him from the vehicle. First responders arrived and began CPR. He died later that afternoon. The temperature that day was 119 degrees. The cause of death was hyperthermia, the same condition affecting the motorcyclist 2 years earlier. He hadn't gotten lost. He hadn't run out of water. He'd simply overheated faster than his body could recover, on a trail most visitors would consider completely safe. That's the part official warning signs struggle to capture. Death Valley doesn't only kill people who make dramatic mistakes. It kills people who do almost everything right, and then lose a fight against their own body's ability to cool itself. Between 2010 and 2020 alone, the park recorded 41 deaths. Not all of them were hikers stranded miles from a road. Some were day trippers who felt fine right up until they weren't. The National Park Service doesn't close the park during heat waves. It posts advisories. It recommends hiking before 10 in the morning. It tells people to carry more water than they think they need. But it can't override the decision every visitor makes the moment they step out of an air-conditioned car and onto ground that can reach 200 degrees. The Timbisha Shoshone lived in this valley for at least 1,000 years before it had the name it carries today. They called it something closer to ground of fire, not death. They survived it by moving with the seasons, tracking water sources, and never assuming the desert would make an exception for them. That's the piece modern visitors, with GPS units and cell phones and air conditioning, sometimes forget. All of that technology creates a feeling of safety. But feelings aren't rescue systems. In Death Valley, when the systems fail, the only thing left is exactly what it's always been. How much water you carried, how much you told someone before you left, and how fast you noticed something was wrong. That's the sign on Badwater Road, in the end. Next services, 72 miles. It was never a warning about running out of gas. It was a warning about running out of margin, in a place that doesn't give any back.